Hello, this is Miss Candy from TPOT Media. Welcome to Dark Exodus.
Sometimes it's just a few who are speaking the truth. Some truth catches fire, and that's what's happening now.
You're trying me. You're trying me. You're trying me. You're trying me.
Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus. Dark Exodus. Think about this. Think about this.
This is X from the Prophet of Thought series. You know.
The protester.
And I'm back with another
Dark Exodus.
And the darkness continues.
My man, Brother Xavier, the Prophet of Thought, is in the building. Brother Xavier, you have the floor for any questions that you may want to pose to Miss Irene Yvette. You have the floor, brother. You have the floor, brother. You have the floor, brother.
Hey, what's good, y'all?
What's
good,
up,
everybody
X?
in the
What's
panel?
up,
What's
baby?
going on, Brother Nagone? What's going on, everybody? I think it was a week or two back. I was actually on a panel with Irene. What's good? The question I have is this, and I've spoken about this before. It often appears that black women, especially the black women who go the Ungawa Black Power route, it seems like that Ungawa Black Power route always takes place after you ladies have laid down with white men, swirled, whatever you want to call it.
No.
I'm asking this in all due respect because I want to get to the bottom of this because we talked about this before. My question would be, when do you women become so black conscious? Is it before the white men or after the white men? Because it appears to me that when you hear these women talk, those of that ilk, they're like, black men don't have this, black men don't have that, black men don't do this, black men don't do that. The very same reasons that they claim they messed with white men in the first place. So now, post-white man, now they're back in the black collective and they're spewing it at us now. So my question to her would be, what does she think is the reason for that? And does that apply to her as well?
Well, I think that's a really good question. First and foremost, let me say that being Gullah, I've always been pro-black because that's how we're raised. And I've only had good examples in my family of black men. So I've never had a negative opinion of black men. All the black men I know that I grew up around are really amazing. And I talk about them often on my channel. And they impacted me and molded me to be the person I am today. So what I am today is just a more mature version of what I was when I was 20 years old and I got married. And so I think that, again, because I didn't view it as I'm marrying a white man, I actually have a video about glorification of interracial dating. Because I never viewed it that way. That was my husband. I didn't view him as the white guy that I'm with. And I wasn't in an environment where people had this kind of conversation. I can't speak to that. And I also can't speak to women I don't know. But I'll tell you from my personal experience, I am pro my people for the same reason any of us should be pro our people. And that is simply because our black card, we walk around with it all the time. There's no revoking that. Our skin is our skin. And there are unique things within our community that need to be dealt with because the downfall of a group of us is the downfall of all of us. That is the lot that we can collectively share. And I think, again, rather than, getting caught up in, this person, man or woman, married somebody of a group that I don't like. I mean, you can choose to be caught up in that. But at the end of the day, we don't know, because everybody's not going to be honest about it, who people have slept with. And what we need to look at is in the here and now. And as we try, hopefully, to be collective in our behavior and action for an intended purpose, that we judge people based on the moves that they are making in the present day. I don't believe, period, not just about dating. I just think in all things, whether you're a criminal, whatever mistakes you've made, whatever choices people don't like, even if they weren't mistakes. Yes. I don't believe in judging people by their past unless that is reflective of their present person. I don't think that's a fair thing to do. We need to all be judged by what we're bringing to the table presently, and everybody needs to be given the room to grow. So like I said, I have a hard time with some of these questions because I don't vibe that way. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Yeah, so like here's my thing, so Irene, now you're the second person that I heard use this term Afrocentric. First person I heard it in recent time was Phil from the Advice Show. He said he's not pro-black, he's Afrocentric. And, so you said that you are raising your children to be Afrocentric.
No, that's not what I said.
Well, that's what you said. Well, what did you say?
No, that's not what I said. I said I teach, I homeschool from an Afrocentric perspective. That's what I said.
Okay. I don't. Okay, let's go with that, right? Let's go with that. So, this is, yeah. Yo, I'm hearing a lot of pseudo-psychology right now, man. Okay, so you're teaching your children how to be Afrocentric, and look, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but for the life of me, it seems to me, you speak on a lot of black issues. Now, when you were married to your first husband, what was your stance on a lot of these issues? What was your stance on the Afrocentric thing?
Well, my stance, because I have adult children, was exactly the same. I have an adult son who's in Japan now who speaks 6 languages, and I prepared him for the world from a perspective just as I do now. I raised him the way that I raise my children now.
I just want to interrupt you here for a moment. You said several times now that you have adult children, but you also say that you homeschool. So I'm trying to understand. Yes. So do you have younger children as well?
That's correct. So I have adult children and young children. That's absolutely correct. So what I will say is this. I don't know what the obsession with words is. All that it means to teach from an Afrocentric perspective is that, and I'm Christian, so I teach from a biblical and Afrocentric perspective. That means I don't mean to interrupt you
again, Miss Irene, but you'll please forgive me.
Well, I think you do mean to interrupt me if you interrupt me, though, right?
Words do matter, Miss Irene. Words do matter. I mean, you're talking about obsessional words.
And if you allow me to finish speaking.
And Afrocentric, it carries a. I hail from Philadelphia. I hail from Philadelphia. Afrocentrism was founded by a scholar by the name of Molefe Kente Asante. I know him well. That terminology carries a lot of weight. It's not just thrown around nilly-willy. And when people use that word, other black people take it seriously. And so I just want to point that out to you as you speak on this here.
Right. Again, you're making an argument that's irrelevant to what I was saying. I said I teach my children from an Afrocentric perspective. Unless you have an issue with the fact that I do that, I don't really understand your point. So if you think I should not teach my children from an Afrocentric perspective, and that's why you're harping on it, then please expound on that. Or if you're just looking for an opportunity to say something negative and that's the best you've got, then I will have to say that unless you find a flaw with me teaching my children that way, I don't really understand what you want me to respond to. But I would ask that if you quote or represent anything I said, that you do that accurately. That's what I would ask.
Well, here's why I asked that, because so if you're homeschooling your children in an Afrocentric way, that would mean you have an issue with the current school system and the way that they teach the children, which would be, quote unquote, white way, but yet and still you have biracial kids. I'm really trying to connect the dots. And every time you give an answer, like I say, it's almost pseudo-psychology it's never a direct answer, and I kind of think we playing around with these things. You know,
well, this is what I will say. It's interesting how you think, because white people. Let me finish what I'm saying. It's interesting how you think, because you said, well, your kids are mixed, but you're teaching them from an Afrocentric perspective. That's weird, because white people have no problem teaching your black kids, Mexican kids, Chinese kids from a Eurocentric perspective. So the fact that you think that we should function any differently as black people is interesting to me. And I don't understand your mindset. So we can maybe agree that we don't view the world the same, and you think that it's appropriate. And even look, that indoctrination has been effective when the oppressive class has used it. But when I say that that is how I do it, you find flaw in that. So I think that is, well, no, my husband is black, first and foremost. But again, as I mentioned earlier in this program, if your issue with me is really that I was married to a white man, then be honest about your issue, and don't make straw man attacks at my homeschooling. Like that is that. So if you just have an issue with the fact that I have children that are mixed, then simply say, I don't like you, Irene. You have kids that are mixed, so everything you say, I'm going to be contrary because I don't like that. Because that's essentially what I think the issue is.
Okay, all right, let's stop. Let me clarify the issue. The issue is what Obsidian said earlier, with the clear-cut double standard. That's the issue. I'm not picking fun or trying to attack your children. Come on now, let's not do that. Now,
I didn't say you were, so don't misrepresent what I said. But there's no double standard, because I said I don't care. I said I don't. Not for me. I'm not. Okay. Again, as I pointed out, I use Cynthia G, my interaction with Cynthia G, and my interaction as Tommy Sotomayor as an example that I treat both men and women exactly the same, because I feel like people would uniformly say Tommy is hard on black women and Cynthia is hard on black men. So when you say you don't call the women,
bottom line,
let's be clear. I don't give either of them any sort of energy to bring anything out of them but the best.
Like I said,
and I would advise.
That interview went the way it went because of the way that you look.
And I think you're purposely ignoring what I said. You tried to say I don't go hard on black women who behave a certain way, and when I gave you a direct equivalency of two people whose rhetoric could be viewed the same for the opposite sex.
And I told you why. I don't think
it's
the way it went. Bottom line.
Well, we've done several interviews together, and when I interviewed him, I put out the energy I want to get from people, just period. And I think everybody does that. When people want to bring out negativity from somebody, they are combative, they are negative, because they're hoping to get that result out of you. If you've ever been in a fight in your relationship, you know this. The other person will be combative and negative because they want you to be combative and negative. But I put out energy according to what I want to receive from people. So when I deal with Cynthia, I focus on the things I like that she says, and I put out positive energy towards her. I'm trying to do the same with you, although you're trying me, and I do the same with Tommy, because that's how I function. Because I find I'm not trying to have beef with anybody. I want to see the best for everybody. I want to see the best for myself, and I will never accomplish that with negativity, and nor will you, nor will any of us, just point blank.
Brother,
it's
Brother
honest.
Obsidian, can I ask you another question?
Go ahead, brother Obsidian, go ahead.
Baba, get in here. Hey, Baba.
Well, can I just ask a quick question again?
Go ahead. Hold on a second. Hang on. Brother Xavier, go ahead, and then after that, Brother Baba. Go ahead, Brother Xavier, go ahead.
Well, I will put this to Miss Irene in all due respect. The circles in which you travel in, madam, these circles often say brothers who go with white women are this, they're booty chasers, they're effeminate, they question their masculinity. You know, there's a whole litany of things that they say about brothers who date other than black people, right? And these are circles that you travel in. I would ask you, how can you not counter their narrative when you yourself were in a relationship with someone who was not black? And how do you think of them as they say these things about brothers who date outside of the race? Or do you then again apply that double standard to yourself and to them as well when they talk about these things?
Well, first, I have to keep reiterating, I don't care about this issue as much as you guys do, so it's not as big of a point of contention or annoyance or focus for me. But what I will say is this.
The people in the circle that travel, they do. This is a main point of contention with these people.
Right.
They speak about it often.
If you listen to me on panels, if you come to my channel, I present the same across the board. And that's what I do. I bring me to the table. When people invite me to their channels, when they invite me on their panel, they know what they're getting. I'm consistent with my rhetoric and my belief system, and they are consistent with theirs.
Dark X.
Now, what you think about that?
The front to stare.
You understand? Dark Exodus.
You're trying me.
Yeah, X. Open your mind.
Only from TPOT Media. Open your